we started investing when the valuation was around 100 billion, and I just kept buying. I always felt when I made the investment that they were a disruptor. What they've become is not what I invested in. This deal could actually go haywire when it lists. They locked up all the inside stock. Elon is locked up for a year. He owns about 40% of the company. He's probably a never sell. If anything, he'll just borrow against the shares if he needs it for taxes, whatever. And then the news starts coming out about Tesla, and then I'm saying, wait a second here, this could be a sneaky move.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Finance Freak podcast. We have a very special guest with us, Steve. Joining us today is Michael Iavarone. I've known Michael for 30 years. We've worked together at the same firms, and we've owned a few racehorses together. He's a great friend and a lot of fun. He's going to be talking to us about SpaceX. I want to kind of give you a little background on Michael, but I'll start with a question, even though I know him for 30 years, because I'm not sure what the answer is. Michael, how do I describe you? Are you a financial consultant that has an uncanny ability to pick winning stocks, who, as a sideline also is a thoroughbred horse racer who has an uncanny ability to pick winning racehorses? Or are you a thoroughbred racehorse guy and the financial consulting is your sideline? Which is it?
Yeah, that's a challenging question. Pretty simple. I make my money doing private equity, but my passion is horse racing. So without the private equity side, I probably don't have the money to buy the horses, because there's an old saying in the equine world: if you want to become a millionaire buying racehorses, start off as a billionaire.
That's
It's a very difficult business to make money in, and private equity is something that it's been 15 years or so since I've developed this niche in what I used to always do as far as manage money, and it's worked out really well for me. But my heart is still at the racetrack. There's no question about it.
Yeah, they say if you want to make $1 million in horse racing, put in $1 billion in weight.
Yeah, it's exactly right. A lot of tax write-offs.
The private equity you do, is it part of the horse racing? Is it that you do tranches of private money into the horses, or is that a totally separate thing you do?
You know, the horses are totally separate. Private equity is something I do through our broker dealer that I work for, and the racehorses are purely my passion. And a big part of horse racing for me is the benefits that it brings from a tax structure. When the new bill came into play under the Trump administration, they allow for bonus depreciation on horses of any age. So let's just say I buy a horse that's 4 years old. I pay $1 million for him in December. I could take that $1 million and write it off directly against my ordinary income, not against capital gains, directly against my top line. Then the beauty of it is, if I hold that horse for more than a year, it now becomes a 20% capital gain from a zero basis. So there's, for people that have 1099 income, there's a built-in 30% barrier just from the tax structure. For, let's say you live in the state of New York, you're probably paying 50% on your ordinary income tax. You're getting that full write-off, and then you pay 20% of the capital gains on the backside. So it has offset a lot of the downside of owning racehorses, and it has increased the value of the equine assets significantly since that bill was put into play.
A mutual friend of ours told me that you did put together a private placement to give investors some of those tax benefits as well through horses.
Yeah. So I did a very small group, people I know, and we pulled money together, and we created this small but pretty solid 20-horse stable, mainly for high-end racehorses, knowing that these people could benefit greatly from the tax side. So I did that. I raised money quickly for it. It's been really successful. I'm a significant part of the investment group myself, and it's been really, really good for us. We closed out the funding about a couple months ago, and it's been a blast. And we've only done it with maybe 20 guys in total, but it's really been good. And I did it really for the tax side, but we've been incredibly fortunate. We've been winning over 20%, in the money over 60%. Horses have been really, really running well. I've used a lot of trainers all over the country, and it's been a lot of fun.
Let's get into SpaceX. It's been a long time coming. I mean, how long have you held shares in SpaceX?
Wow, I don't know exactly from a time standpoint, but it's been a while. So we started investing when the valuation was around 100 billion. So I'm guessing maybe like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. And I just kept buying, and I always felt when I made the investment that they were a disruptor. What they've become is not what I invested in. And I'm just very lucky that Elon Musk has this vision that none of us do. And, it started off as a rocket company that was going to build a string of satellites to provide connectivity in areas that were regular connectivity wasn't available. And I felt that there was a really good marketplace for that. The TAM was, say 300 billion, something like that. That grew enormously as Starlinks began broadening out. And they are only capturing about 10% of the market share right now in overall connectivity, and they're doing tremendous revenues from it. But now they've become so much bigger and so much more. And a lot of it is obviously built on the come line, right? There's a lot of things that still have to be proven out, such as data centers in space and you name it. But what has really, really happened for them is in the last, I would say, year and a half, they've put together items that really put them in the right place to be basically an AI infrastructure company. And I think I've been really fortunate. It wasn't what I invested in. It's become what I'm invested in. And that's all the credit to them. And, now that we're seeing valuations bandied around as high as 2 trillion, it looks like it's going to be a home run for myself and the investors. So we're just really very fortunate. It's one of those winners that probably look like 20x when it's said and done. And it gives me a free ride on about 19 deals going forward in case they fail.
Yeah. But everything that they're into, the U.S. government is their customer for launching satellites. I mean, clearly, data centers in space make sense. You don't have to pay to cool them, and you've got unlimited 24/7
storage.
solar power. So it kind of makes sense.
Mike, is there a lockup on those shares when they go public for everybody, or just everyone has a different deal the way it works?
So the lockup strategy and structure is interesting, which means to me, and I'll explain why, that this deal could actually go haywire when it lists. So they locked up all the inside stock. Elon is locked up for a year. He owns about 40% of the company. He's probably a never sell. If anything, he'll just borrow against the shares if he needs it for taxes, whatever. But they created a dribble out structure. So 20% of the shares that are restricted become free one day after they release Q2. So Q2 probably will be released maybe the last week of July, the first week of August, something along those lines. So one day after that, 20% will become eligible for trade. In addition to that, after that date, if the stock is 30% higher than its IPO price for 5 consecutive days, that will unlock an additional 10%. So 30% should probably be available for sale within the first week of August. Then at day 70, they free up another 7%. At day 90, they free up another 7%. And then they stag it out until full 180, right? So I think that's more of a controlled release of these shares instead of day 180.
Yeah, I agree. Steve and I speculated, Michael, that Tesla, the fact that they sell cars now is almost incidental. They're a battery company and a technology company,
Robotics company, really, right?
Robotics and
that's the integration. That is what he's going to probably use at some point to merge. I do think it happens. I won't be happy about it, but I do think they merge.
Well, when you see the stock, Tesla, when everybody all that's discussed is how bad, quote unquote, how bad they're doing. But yet this, right? But yet the stock is holding 400 for all this time.
Yeah.
There are people out there that are thinking, wait a second, I'm not going to sell because of this merge. That's what I'm hearing. And I'm getting that feeling that it'll happen soon.
Right. And interestingly enough, it's kind of funny. If you read through the S1, it talks about his compensation package. And his compensation package begins to vest at a $7.5 trillion valuation. So when we started reading this, we're like, oh, wow, this is a dream. You know, our CEO wants a valuation, you know, 6 times that. And then the news starts coming out about Tesla. And then I'm saying, wait a second here. This could be a sneaky move. You know, it doesn't talk about how you get to 7.5 trillion. It talks about a 7.5 trillion valuation. If he merges these two deals together, it's probably going to be a $4 trillion valuation right there.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty safe bet. You know, I bought Tesla late to the game, but I still bought an awful lot of it at 259, and you know, I've been enjoying the ride since then. You know, I didn't sell it when it hit 500, but I'm still comfortable with my position for sure.